The sky above Earth had always seemed silent, predictable, and distant, a beautiful mystery that offered more wonder than warning. But on the cold morning of January 3rd, 2389, that silence was broken. It began with a flicker across the deep. Signal relay stationed on Europa base. A flicker, then a pulse, then a message. Not in words, not in any known language, but something older, deeper. A harmony of frequencies that reached into the minds of those who heard it and stirred something primal. It was not a scream, not a threat, just a song. But beneath that strange beauty was something else, something no one could name. The message was received by Earth's United Space Monitoring Network at 2:36 UTC. Every satellite, listening post, and deep space telescope locked on instantly. The origin. A distant quadrant past the Andromeda Veil, in a region long thought barren. But it wasn't empty, not anymore. By 3:12 UTC, Earth's United Government had declared full planetary lockdown of all external communications. No public release. Not yet. Only a handful of officials were informed, including President Helena Voss and the top military commander of the Interplanetary Defense Fleet, Admiral Raina Cross. Raina had just returned from an inspection mission near Mars when she received the encrypted packet. She read the file once, then twice. The signal had repeated itself always at the same time, every 63 minutes. The energy behind it was immense, yet controlled. There was intelligence behind it. Purpose. She tapped her console and opened a direct link to the president. "I assume you've read it?" the president asked, her voice calm but tight. "Yes," Raina replied, "and I don't like it. We can't ignore it. We can delay. We can observe. We don't have to answer." Helena leaned forward. This could be history in the making, peace, maybe even an alliance. "We've waited centuries for this moment." Raina's voice stayed flat. "And maybe it's a trap." Helena paused. "We're sending a diplomatic probe, no humans, just data and a response message. We'll let the signal guide the pod to their space." Raina clenched her jaw. "Then we better arm it just in case." The probe was launched 14 hours later. It was small, sleek, and loaded with humanity's finest encryption and linguistic AI. It carried a message of peace, carefully worded, translated into 20 Earth languages, and broadcasted with mathematical logic. "We welcome peaceful contact. We wish for friendship. We come without harm." The world waited. Hours turned to days. No answer. Then, on the 7th day, the stars spoke again. This time, the message was clear. A new signal was received, stronger, richer, almost musical. The AI cracked it in under 3 hours. The translation chilled the air in every command room where it played. "We welcome your interest. We invite your leaders to the Council of Alari Prime. Come unarmed. Come with trust. Come alone." Final word "alone" looped 3 times, as if to erase all doubt. No fleet, no weapons, no escorts. There was silence in the global chambers of power. Military strategists argued. Scientists speculated. Politicians prayed for legacy. But Admiral Raina Cross simply watched the stars and frowned. "We won't go in blind," she told her command team. "If we must go, then we go prepared. Even if they don't see us coming." The diplomatic mission was formed. 10 of Earth's best mind, scientists, cultural historians, linguists, and diplomats selected to represent humanity. The ship they boarded, the Harmonia, was a marvel of peaceful design. No visible weapons. No armor. Nothing to suggest aggression, but what the Alari wouldn't see was the shadow behind it, the Aegis. A stealth-class battlecruiser cloaked with Earth's most advanced technology. And behind the Aegis, hidden even deeper in the fabric of space, was Raina's hand, the Admiral's own warship. "We'll observe from range," Raina told her crew. "If anything feels wrong, we pull them out even if we have to tear a star apart to do it." The journey to Alari Prime took 17 days. It was smooth, silent, and filled with tension. The crew of the Harmonia prepared for every possibility. But no one could prepare for what they saw upon arrival. Alari Prime hung in space like a jewel of glass and gold. Its atmosphere shimmered with clouds that moved too smoothly, as if painted by invisible hands. Tall, slender towers rose from its cities, but there were no signs of vehicles, no lights, no sound. Just beauty and silence. Ambassador Lucien Keller stepped forward, flanked by a few select members of the team. His voice trembled slightly as he activated the channel. "This is Ambassador Keller of Earth. We come in peace, as requested." Answer, they waited. Then the planet responded. A soft golden beam emerged from one of the towers. It touched the Harmonia's outer hull and passed through it like mist. Lights across the ship flickered, then returned. The AI voice on board spoke. "Entry permitted. Welcome, humans. The Council awaits." The Harmonia began its descent. Watching from deep orbit, Admiral Reyna's heart pounded. Not a surrounding sectors, nothing. Not a single other ship. No defense satellites. No energy buildups. It was too perfect. "Run a cloaked drone recon," she ordered. The drone launched silently, slipping into Alari Prime's upper atmosphere. It relayed visuals, streets empty, towers sealed, life signs in clear. Everything was smooth and clean, like a museum after closing, on board the Harmonia. The delegation was escorted through a glass corridor that shimmered with light. The structure seemed to move with them, bending and reshaping without sound. Eventually, they entered a grand hall, miles wide, domed, and filled with what looked like stars floating in the air. 10 alien beings stood at the center, tall, slender, humanoid in form, but without mouths or eyes. Their skin pulsed with blue light. They communicated not through sound, but thought projected images and emotions into the minds of their guests. "We are the Alari," the voice echoed in each human's mind. "You are welcome. The treaty shall be signed." There was no small talk, no delay. A glowing pedestal rose from the ground. A floating script hovered above it, shifting constantly. Ambassador Keller stepped forward, his hand trembling. He signed with a gesture, as instructed. The pedestal pulsed. Suddenly, a wave of silence fell. The Alari stopped glowing. The stars in the hall dimmed. A long vibration ran through the floor. Then a new sound filled the chamber. A second signal. But it did not come from the hall. It came from space. Admiral Reyna's ship picked it up first. Her sensors screamed. The signal wasn't peaceful, it was a battle code. "A broadcast of coordinates, Commander," her officer shouted. "They're broadcasting our fleet's position to every ship in range." Reyna stood up. "Shut it down. Get the Harmonia out now." But the worst was not over. Second drone lost for hours suddenly sent its last image. Dozens of ships, hidden beneath the planet's crust, beginning to rise. The treaty had been a signal, a beacon, not for peace, but for war. Inside the grand hall, the Alari figures began to fade. Their forms dissolved into mist, leaving the delegation standing in the dark, alone. Keller turned around. "Something's wrong." And then the lights went out far above. In the blackness of space, Earth's hidden fleet lit up. The trap had been triggered, and humanity, armed and proud, walked straight into it. But Admiral Reyna Cross wasn't ready to lose. Not yet. Not without a fight, as the stars flickered with the light of rising enemy ships. As she whispered into her command channel, "Prepare for battle. The treaty was a lie. Let's show them what Earth really brought to the table." And in that moment, in the silence before the first fire, the universe remembered why it had once feared the human race. Space was supposed to be vast and cold, but as the Harmonia drifted closer to Alari Prime's orbit, everything felt too still, too silent. There were no patrols, no alien vessels, no signs of traffic, defense satellites, or communication buoys. The crew had expected grandeur, movement, maybe even welcome banners in the sky. But the planet below sat in unsettling calm, wrapped in shimmering clouds and an unnatural golden hue that pulsed like it was breathing. Ambassador. Keller stood at the main viewing window with his hands behind his back. His eyes scanned the surface. Of the alien world, there were tower crystalline structures arranged in patterns too perfect for coincidence. Lakes shimmered with blue light, and metallic forests spread in symmetrical rows that defied nature's randomness. Everything was beautiful. But beauty wasn't always safe. Still no signals? Keller asked without turning. Nothing, replied Dr. Lang, the ship's chief analyst. Not even a passive response. It's just the same automated welcome tone from the planet's surface, coordinates locked in for landing, but no voice, no eyes on us. It's strange. Keller nodded. Everything about this is strange. Far above them, cloaked in silence and hidden from all sensors, Admiral Reyna Cross stood on the bridge of Reyna's Hand, her personal command ship. She watched the Harmonia glide through space like a silver ghost. Her own face reflected back at her from the glass stern, sharp, unreadable. Her instincts were screaming, they're walking into a theater set. She muttered. Her tactical officer, Commander Vale, looked up. Still no movement from the planet's crust. No, but I don't like it. Run another deep scan. Beneath. The surface. These people, these Alari, they don't move like diplomats. They move like predators. Back on the Harmonia, final descent had begun. The ship entered the upper atmosphere of Alari Prime without resistance. No turbulence. Ain't number. Drag. Just smooth, gliding entry like falling into liquid silk. The sky changed colors as they passed through layers violet, then emerald, then gold. Below, the capital city came into full view. It was silent, not empty, but too quiet. Buildings gleamed like polished glass. Roads and walkways twisted in. Spiral loops, but there were no people, no vehicles, no movement, not even animals, just architecture and light, a living city without life. Pilot Sandra Hale's fingers hovered over the console. No auto-docking beacons? I'm taking manual control. Do it gently, Keller said. We're guests, not invaders. As the Harmonia touched down, a soft blue fog rose from the docking platform and absorbed the landing gear. The ship powered down automatically, systems fading into standby as if the planet itself had taken control. The crew prepared for disembarkation. 10 delegates, all trained for diplomacy, first contact, and nonverbal communication. Still, none of them could shake the unease crawling beneath their skin. It felt like stepping into a story with too many blank pages. The airlock hissed open. The moment the hatch disengaged, a wave of soundless pressure hit the team like walking into a room where someone had just stopped whispering. A walkway extended from the ship to the landing pad, where a single figure waited. It was tall, thin, glowing with soft blue light. No face, no mouth, no visible features, just smooth, pale skin, and a calm presence that radiated directly into their thoughts. Welcome, travelers. The voice echoed not in their ears, but in their minds. You are safe. Keller took a step forward and bowed slightly. I am Lucian Keller, representing the people of Earth. We come in peace, with open minds and open hearts. The being gestured with one hand, and the walkway extended further, forming a bridge to a nearby building. As they walked, the structure adjusted around them. Corridors reformed. Walls shifted. Doors appeared where there had been none. It was like walking through a dream held together by thought. Admiral Reyna watched all of it through her drone's feed, biting the inside of her cheek. They're not using machines, she said. That whole city is a live ore controlled psychically. Her tactical officer frowned. Should we initiate extraction protocols? Not yet. Let's wait. They haven't made a move, just showing. Off. For now. Inside the alien tower, the Earth delegation was led into a chamber that defied physics. The walls shimmered like water. Gravity seemed lighter. Above them floated thousands of tiny spheres, pulsing, rotating, glowing with colors that seemed to whisper directly into their emotions. It wasn't frightening. It was oddly peaceful. 10 more Alari stood in the center of the chamber, forming a circle around a floating structure of spiraling script. The treaty. This is the heart of council, their guide said. This is where peace is forged. The Earth team was invited forward. Each member placed their hand on a glowing pedestal, syncing with the document. The terms appeared in real time, translated not just into words, but into pure understanding. No clauses, no fine print. Just promises of peace, unity, and mutual exploration. Then came the final step. Ambassador Keller was asked to seal the agreement with a symbolic act drinking from a chalice. It's offered by one of the Ilari. He paused. It's a gesture of trust, whispered Dr. Lang. Keller lifted the chalice. The liquid shimmered like molten silver. He drank. It was cold, flavorless, almost electric. Then everything changed. A sharp pulse ran through Keller's body. He gasped and fell to his knees. His eyes widened and his pupils dilated.
Oh, mate.
The Ilari made no move, no response. The rest of the team rushed to his side. Keller Lang shouted, "Talk to me! Talk to me, are you all right?" Keller blinked. For a moment his voice was not his own. It echoed, "They see us. All of us. Everywhere." Then he collapsed. Up in orbit, the drones feeding visuals to Reyna's command ship flickered. One of them sent a sudden spike, a magnetic wave too strong to come from any natural source. Then, silence. Drone 3 just dropped, Commander Vale said. Gone, like it was swallowed. Reyna's jaw tightened. We're pulling the Harmonia team out. We have no confirmed threat. I don't care. Pull them now. Suddenly, the feed from the planet flickered. A new transmission had begun broadcasting from the surface, not toward Earth but outward into deep space. A pulse, not a message. A beacon. Reyna's heart sank. They're not talking to us. They're talking to someone else. Another officer called out, "Ma'am, new ships. Just appeared on long-range scans. 4, no, 6, wait, 8. Matching energy signatures." They were hidden behind the planet's gravity well. "Enemy vessels?" Reyna asked. "We don't know. They're just watching." Keller awoke inside the chamber. He was shaking. Something had been in his mind. It's not just the Ilari, but something behind them. Watching through them. Waiting. The treaty wasn't a peace offering. It was a signal flare. They never wanted peace, he said through gritted teeth. They wanted confirmation that we're here. We're ready. Lang looked around. The Ilari were gone. The chamber was empty. The treaty had dissolved into the air like mist. The light was fading. Back on the surface, the Harmonious engine suddenly flickered. Pilot Hale checked her console. "I've lost helm control. Something's overriding our systems." In orbit, Admiral Reyna activated a failsafe. "We're done waiting. Deploy recovery teams. Gauge active defense protocols. If the Ilari make one wrong move, we respond with fire." The space around Ilari Prime rippled. Ships began to emerge, massive vessels, shaped like blades and wrapped in dark metal that absorbed light. They didn't charge weapons. They didn't speak. They just watched. Keller's final words before blacking out were barely a whisper. "We're never alone, and neither are we." Earth's secret fleet armed its weapons, and cloaked drones buzzed into formation. Truth became clear. The treaty had worked. It had told the galaxy exactly where humanity was. Now, the galaxy was coming, and peace would not be the first thing it brought. The silence after the signal felt heavier than any weapon. From orbit, Admiral Reyna stared at the growing cluster of unidentified ships emerging from behind Ilari Prime's gravitational shadow. They moved like phantoms, smooth, deliberate, and silent. No engines flaring, no messages transmitted. It's just presence. "How many now?" Reyna asked, her voice low and cold. 17 confirmed, Commander Vale replied. "Another 6 likely. No ident tags. No known designs. And they're all just watching." Reyna stepped forward and narrowed her eyes. "They're waiting to see what we do." Down on the surface, the Harmonia had become a cage. Lights flickered. Across the hull, power systems failed and rebooted randomly, as if someone or something was testing the ship's defenses. Inside the ship, Ambassador Keller lay unconscious in the med bay, his face pale, his breathing shallow. Dr. Lang monitored. his vitals frustrated. Still no sign of toxin or infection, she said. But brain activity is off the charts, like he's dreaming. But the dreams are screaming back. Outside. The team watched the glass corridors they had walked through slowly dissolve into mist. The structures of Alari Prime were disappearing, fading like illusions under moonlight. This city, it's not real, whispered Hannah Miles, one of the team's xenolinguists. It's all projection, constructed thought. They built a world from memory and made us believe it. Now they're letting it fade, Lang said, tightening her jaw, because they got what they wanted. The air changed. A low vibration trembled through the ground, and the golden clouds overhead began to crack with faint lightning. Then, without warning, a new signal pierced the coms. It wasn't from the Alari. It was from one of the ships above. A voice mechanical, ancient and cold. Human presence confirmed. Treaty breach complete. Protocol Sigma initiated, awaiting Dominion order. On Reyna's hand, the command crew froze. Translate that again, Reyna ordered. Her AI repeated the message, word for word. They're not allies of the Alari, Vale whispered. They were. A ting for a trigger. Reyna's eyes narrowed. We were the trigger. Back on the surface, Dr. Lang made a decision. She tapped her communicator. Admiral, we need extraction now. This mission is compromised. Copy that, Reyna said instantly. Hold your position. Extraction. Squat inbound. But before the order could fully transmit, a ripple tore across the skies of Alari Prime. A massive structure previously hidden under the planet's crust began to rise. It looked like a tower, but it moved like a ship. Its surface spun with black geometric symbols, constantly shifting. At its base, giant circular rings began rotating, gathering light. Humming with power, on board the Harmonia, alarms screamed. That thing just activated a planet-scale energy array, Hale shouted, and it's aimed upward. Dr. Lang's eyes widened. It's a relay. A transmitter. Keller suddenly sat upright, eyes wild. No, it's a gate. Everyone stared. A stargate? Lang asked. To where? Keller looked up, voice hollow. To them, to whoever they serve. Above the planet, the shadow ships began to move, not toward the humans, but around the massive structure, forming a ring, a formation, not for attack. For ceremony, Reyna watched the scene unfold and made her choice. Deploy Black Echo Squad, she ordered. Tell them full extraction priority. If the enemy engages, we hit first and hard. Elite drop pods launched from her ship, cloaked and fast, slipping through Alari Prime's upper atmosphere like falling meteors. Their destination, the Harmonia and the surviving team. On the ground, the tower pulsed again. Deep sound echoed. Through the air, not from any speaker, but from the very atoms in the sky. It wasn't just noise. It was a countdown. Inside the ship, Hannah trembled. I think it's bringing something through, or someone, Lang replied, arming the emergency shields. Either way, we're not staying. Outside, one of the shadow ships broke formation and fired. A single beam of concentrated dark energy lanced toward the surface, not at the humans. But at the tower's base, the blast didn't destroy, it activated. The ring spun faster, light twisted into black. Spirals above the city. Space began to turn it crack, not break, but unravel like fabric burned by fire. Reyna saw it from orbit. It's not a gate, she said. It's a summoning. What do we do? Vale asked. We stop it, or we all burn. She turned to her weapons officer. Target the tower. All cannons. Prepare to fire. Admiral, that might kill our people if we don't. There won't be people. On the surface, the drop pods landed. Black-armored soldiers stormed the platform, surrounding the diplomatic team. Extraction now. No questions. Move. Lang grabbed Keller, who struggled against unseen pain. The gate, they're calling it, he gasped. They wanted to see us. They wanted to claim us. We're not staying to find out what it is, she said, hauling him into the dropship. The soldiers secured the rest of the team. As they lifted off, the tower roared now, fully alive, glowing with lightless fire. In orbit, Reyna watched. The extraction pods rise. They're out, Vale confirmed. All 10 secured. Fire, Reyna ordered. The space above Alari. Prime lit up as the Reyna's hand and the rest of Earth's hidden fleet unleashed their full might. Kinetic rods, fusion torpedoes, plasma spears, everything they had was aimed at the rising tower. The first strike hit. The tower trembled. Second hit followed. The structure cracked. Then as the third wave descended, the gate opened. It was not light that emerged. It was something else. A shape. A shadow. A presence. Tall serpentine with eyes made of ancient stars and skin made of moving time. It did not speak, did not roar. It simply looked, and the universe shivered. Reyna saw. It, the entire bridge did. Though it appeared only for a moment, it was enough. "What is that?" Vale whispered. Reyna's voice was hard. "That is what the Alari serve. That is what they've been waiting for. A god, a conqueror, or something worse." She turned. "We shut it down. Every ship, fire, everything." The sky burned. The gate buckled. The tower collapsed. The shadow creature screamed, but not in fear. In fury, as the structure crumbled into itself, the being dissolved, torn back into whatever dark place it had come from. The ring of enemy ships scattered, disappearing in flashes of light. Then silence, no signal, no sound, no movement. The Harmonia and its crew were safe, but peace was dead, and the war hadn't even started yet. Back aboard Reyna's hand, the Admiral looked at the scorched planet below. "We didn't walk into a trap," she whispered. "We woke it up." Silence lingered in the aftermath like ash after a fire. Ilari Prime no longer looked like a world. It looked like a memory, its once beautiful surface, scorched and cracked, its sky dimmed. The majestic towers were gone. The shifting city had vanished, melted into dust. Only the broken husk of the summoning tower remained, smoldering like a burned-out star. Humanity had survived the first encounter, but no one was celebrating. On board Reyna's hand, Admiral Reyna Cross stood at the center of the bridge, staring at the smog-covered surface below. Her officers waited for orders, but she remained silent. Her eyes were fixed, not on the ruins, but on what had almost come through, the shadow, the thing that had looked at them through the gate, the thing that hadn't needed words. To make its intent clear, Keller's voice echoed in her mind. They never wanted peace. They wanted it to see us. Commander Vale broke the silence. All recovery pods secured. Medical bays are overwhelmed but stable. Keller's still unconscious. Lang says his mind's shifting. Reyna asked finally. Turning, Vale hesitated. Parts of his brain are activating like he's learned a new language. Or gained access to something he shouldn't have. Reyna nodded once. Keep him under. No mental uplinks. No simulations. Full neurological. Quarantine. She walked off the bridge and headed straight for the war room. She needed answers. But more than that, she needed to prepare. Earth. Because something had seen them, and it was still watching. In the medbay of the Harmonia. Dr. Lang sat beside Ambassador Keller's bedside. His eyes were closed, but flickering rapidly beneath. Their lids, sweat beaded on his forehead. His mouth moved soundlessly. Whispering words in languages that didn't exist, Lang held his hand and watched the vitals spike again. Then, suddenly, Keller opened his eyes. They were glowing, just for a moment, a shimmer of light blue, then gold, then gone. He gasped and clutched her wrist. They buried it, he whispered. They buried the truth long ago. The Alari were. Slaves. Lang leaned in. Who did this to them? That thing? The shadow. Keller nodded weakly. They called it the first flame. Not because it gives light, but because it devours it. The Alari built that tower to survive its gaze. What? Worship it. Lang's breath caught. Then why bring us here? To pass the burden, Keller said. The galaxy, it's tired. Yeah. So. Every species that survives long enough eventually finds the flame, and they all run from it. Or feed it. He looked at her, eyes wide. It knows Earth exists. Back in orbit, Earth's hidden battle group reassembled. Stealth frigates circled the perimeter. Drone swarms scanned the remains of Alari Prime. The fleet was tense. The silence wasn't comforting. It was foreboding. Aboard Reyna's hand, secure meeting began with command leaders from Earth, Mars, Titan, Luna Colony. "We've confirmed that whatever came through that gate wasn't physical," said Admiral Cho from Luna. "At least, not entirely. It behaved like an echo, a test pattern." Reyna spoke next. "And now it knows our signal, our technology, our biology." One of the generals from Mars leaned forward. "If it's looking for a fight, we'll give it one." Reyna shook her head. "No, that thing doesn't fight," it claims. "It consumes identity. The Alari didn't just serve it. They surrendered to it. They let it rewrite them." The room fell silent. "Then what do we do?" asked Cho. Reyna's voice was quiet but firm. "We find out who else has faced it. We search the stars. Abandoned colonies, lost empires, dead systems. There must be others who've seen the flame and lived." Someone else joined the call, then a voice from deep space. "This is Captain Arun Voss of the Long Range Explorer. Meridian, we picked up your signal. We've seen the signature of the flame before. On Zetaviron 9, Reyna blinked. Zetaviron. That system's blacklisted. Radioactive death world. "Not anymore," Voss said. "It's changing. The surface is rebuilding. We think it's preparing to receive something." Reyna's jaw tightened. "We're on our way." In deep space, light bent unnaturally around the dark hull of the UAge, Flame's hidden vessel. It wasn't a ship, wasn't even alive in any human sense. It was a will, presence, a virus written into the fabric of the universe, and it had learned from the Alari, from the broken tower, from Keller. From Earth, inside the silent blackness, memories were forming images of human cities, faces, languages, Earth's history. Began to replay inside the alien void like a new story to rewrite. It didn't fear humanity, it was curious. What would they do? Would they run? Would they fight? Or would they serve? On Earth, news had already begun to leak. Whispered stories. Panic on underground networks. People claiming to see things in their dreams, giant shadows, cities made of smoke, stars whispering strange names. The psychic echo from Alari Prime was spreading. Governments tried to contain it. Minds were already infected. Dr. Lang reviewed Keller's brain scans. The data was impossible. Patterns inside his cortex mirrored the geometric rings from the summoning tower. Somehow, the flame had marked him. She watched a slow pulse begin to grow behind his eyes. She knew what it meant. He wasn't just a diplomat anymore. He was a messenger. Or maybe, key. That night Keller dreamed. He walked through Earth's cities, but they were empty. Skyscrapers melted into stone, oceans burned black, and above it all, in the sky, hung a second moon, massive, cracked, and bleeding light. The flame was there, waiting, smiling, and behind it. Other stars were flickering, waking up, watching Earth. War hadn't begun yet, but humanity had already stepped onto a galactic stage and the universe. It was no longer asleep. It had seen them. Now it wanted to know what kind of story Earth would become. A victory, a tragedy, just another forgotten echo in the void. The stars above Zetaviron 9 did not twinkle. They pulsed slow, cold, and artificial like machine hearts in the sky. The once dead planet now rotated under a false rhythm. Where once there had been silence and ruin, strange shapes now bloomed. Across the surface, monoliths of black stone and red light, forming patterns that resembled circuitry more than architecture. Admiral Reyna Cross stood at the command bay of the Reyna's hand, eyes fixed on the hollow world below. "Are you seeing this?" she asked her science officer. Lieutenant Rami nodded slowly. "The entire planet is alive, but not in a biological sense. It's broadcasting. A low-frequency pulse like a heartbeat." "What kind of signal?" Rami turned to her. "It's the same rhythm as Keller's brainwave pattern." Reyna's shoulders tightened. "So it's not just watching us, it's calling to him." In orbit near Alari Prime, Ambassador Keller stared into the glass of the medbay, the stars reflected in his eyes. He hadn't slept in days, though he no longer felt tired. Dr. Lang kept him monitored, though she didn't know what she was monitoring anymore. The scans no longer made sense. He wasn't sick. He wasn't injured. He was changing, does it? Hurt? Lang asked gently. Keller smiled faintly. Only when I remember who I was. You're still you. He looked at her, and for a moment, just a flicker, his eyes glowed again. No, I'm becoming what they need me to be. Lang's throat tightened. Who's they? Keller looked toward the stars. Not the Alari, not the flame. Something else, something older. Watching the Watchers, waiting for someone to resist. The long-range explorer ship Meridian was the first to land on Zeta Viron 9. Captain Arun Voss stepped out in his exosuit, boots crunching into dry ash. His crew followed cautiously, weapons armed but silent. Before them rose the largest monolith, over 100 meters tall, surface pulsing with red light and mathematical intervals. Looks like it's waiting for input, one of the crew. Whispered Voss approached the base, hands scanning the strange material, or testing us. The monolith shifted, not shifted. Its shape rewrote itself like folding paper. Lines of unreadable symbols etched across its surface. The crew backed away instinctively. Then, the monolith spoke, not through sound but straight into their minds. Do you wish to survive? Voss clutched his helmet, eyes wide. What the hell was that? His comms officer gasped. It spoke. In my mother's voice, a technician stepped back. It sounded like me, but older. The monolith pulsed again. Submit the key. The crew looked at each other. No one knew what that meant till a low hum erupted. From there comes a ray. The transmission was coming from Ambassador Keller on the Reina's hand. The message came through as pure data, thousands of pages of code, symbols, pulses, not one bit of it was typed. It was generated directly from Keller's mind while he sat in silence. Rami looked horrified. This wasn't just sent to us. It was sent to the flame. Everything connected to it. Reina's eyes darkened. He's not in control anymore. Lang's voice broke through the intercom. Admiral, you need to see this. In the med bay, Keller had begun speaking, calmly, clearly. Not in English, but in the same layered alien tones used by the Alari when they activated the tower. Lang showed the scans. His brain is mimicking the gate signal. He's not just marked anymore. He is the transmitter. Reina turned sharply. Sedate him now. Lang hesitated. If we do, it might trigger a surge. The last time his levels spiked, a CUM satellite on Mars melted from the feedback. Reina clenched her jaw. Then isolate the medbay. Harden every wall. If he becomes a beacon, we shut him down hard. On Zeta Viron 9, the monolith received the signal. The ground began to shake. New towers erupted from the ash, forming a perfect circle. At the center, the ground split open, and from the depths rose a crystalline spire. Transparent, hollow, and humming dot, Captain Voss watched it with wide eyes. Is that a relay tower? One of his engineers whispered, No, that's a lens. A lens for what? To magnify whatever's coming. Across the solar system, strange events began unfolding in Jupiter's orbit. Automated stations reported brief but impossible flashes of unknown ships too fast for tracking, too quiet for sensors. On Neptune's moon Triton, a mining colony's AI went silent for 11 minutes. When it rebooted, it had rewritten its own code into a language no one had ever seen. On Earth, dozens of children across the globe began drawing the same symbol, a black spiral, surrounded by burning eyes. The flame signal was spreading. But it wasn't the only one. Another voice was rising beneath it, quieter, older, more human, in his isolation chamber. Keller whispered words even he didn't understand, but they came from somewhere deeper than memory. Ganda. His fingers moved across the air, tracing unseen glyphs. His skin shimmered faintly, and then he stopped. He looked up. I remember now, he said. Lang, watching from behind reinforced glass, leaned forward. Remember what? Keller stared at her. His voice was soft. They came before the flame. Not warriors, not conquerors, just witnesses. They left echoes behind. Warnings. Maps. Maybe. Salvation. Lang's breath caught. Who are they? Keller smiled faintly. Us. What we could become. A version of humanity that won. He touched his temple. Their signal is buried inside me. That's why the flame reacted. Recognized. Its enemy. Lang realized the truth then. Keller wasn't just a messenger. He was a battlefield in orbit. Raina Cross watched the fleet reposition above Zeta Viren 9. She didn't blink. Didn't breathe. We're not alone, she said softly. We never were. Vale looked at her. Then what now? Raina stared into the stars. Now we prepare, because the next move won't be a message. She turned to the holomap. It'll be a test. Far across the galaxy, a silent world awakened. Black ships peeled away from its orbit. They had no crew, only purpose, their destination. Earth, their mission. Ascertain threat level and begin cleansing. The treaty had been a lie, but war was the truth behind it. The black ships arrived in silence, not with fire, not with warning. They did not broadcast greetings or threats, didn't demand surrender. They simply appeared. On the edge of the solar system, just beyond Pluto, where human eyes rarely looked, space folded open like a wound, and they poured through, dozens at first, then hundreds. Sleek, cold vessels, shaped like a blade pointed at Earth. They had no names, no crews, no mercy. On board the Raina's hand, at orbiting near Jupiter, Admiral Raina Cross received the first alert. A gravitational anomaly near the Kuiper Belt. She opened the feed, expecting a comet or maybe another dead satellite gone rogue. What she saw instead made her blood run cold. Hundreds of ships. All identical, moving in eerie synchrony. Their surfaces shimmered like oil on water, rejecting all sensor scans. Her comms officer whispered, "They're not responding to any hails. No IFF, no transponders. Trajectory." Raina asked. The reply was immediate. Earth. She stared at the screen for a full 5 seconds. Then she spoke with steel in her voice. Raise the fleet. I want every warship between Mars and Neptune ready for interception. We don't wait for them to open fire. We strike first.
Oh.
But Earth was already under attack. Not from space, but from within. Every major city experienced sudden electrical failures. Grids went dark. Satellites dropped offline. AI systems froze mid-command. At first it seemed like a cyber attack, but then came the dreams. Millions of people, all at once, began to speak in their sleep languages no one had taught them. Some shouted, others wept. Some carved symbols into walls or floors when they awoke, not knowing why. It was spreading faster than any virus in the skies. Some began to see shape shadows where there should have been clouds, watching without form, and below it all, signal pulsed, faint, deep, like the hum of a forgotten machine starting. Up, Ambassador Keller, still isolated aboard the Harmonia, felt the change before anyone else. They're not just attacking Earth, he whispered. They're trying to override it. On Mars, the Defense Council activated the Ares Protocol, an emergency defense plan never meant to be used. Massive orbital railguns came online. Planetary defense grids roared to life. Artificial intelligence. Command nodes linked together across Mars, Luna, and Earth into a unified battle net. Raina watched as the stars above began to fill with fire. Her second in command, Commander Vale, turned to her. The flame ships aren't engaging yet. Observing they're measuring us, Raina said grimly. They want to see what we throw first. They want to learn. And if they learn too much, then we become a memory, like the Alari. Zeta Viren 9 remained quiet but not dead. The crystal tower in its center began to shift, rotating slowly. Signals pulsed from its heart. Reaching out into space, Keller still under heavy guard. received the transmission in his mind. It was not a command. It was a map. Buried within it were names, locations, coordinates. Across the galaxy, dozens of dead worlds began lighting up. Worlds long thought destroyed or erased were now showing energy signatures. Someone or something had hidden them. "What is it?" Lang asked. Keller stared at the data, then at her. A trail, left by the ones who fought the flame and lived. They didn't just vanish. They scattered, hid their knowledge, planted weapons. They built resistance. Lang's eyes widened. "Do you think it's enough?" Keller's smile was thin. "I think it's all we have." Back in Earth's orbit, the flame ships made their move, but they didn't fire weapons. Instead, one of them spoke. A single signal, broadcast across all frequencies, all languages, all systems. A voice that was not a voice, deep, layered, synthetic and ancient. "We came as promised. You were armed for war. Show us your meaning." And then the stars ignited. Flame ships launched beams of impossible energy, cutting swaths through asteroid fields, vaporizing drones, disabling Mars' outer defense ring in seconds. But humanity did not break it, answered from Luna. The arc cannons fired a concentrated stream of plasma and particle energy, tearing through one of the flame ships like paper. From Earth, swarms of stealth drones launched into the upper atmosphere, piercing enemy hulls, hacking signals, disrupting formations. The black ships adapted fast, but not fast enough, and for the first time, one of them fell. Cheers erupted on the bridge of the Reyna's hand, but Admiral Reyna wasn't smiling. "They're probing us," she said flatly. That wasn't an attack. It was a measurement. Vale frowned. "Then why sacrifice a ship?" Reyna narrowed her eyes. "To see what kills it." Suddenly, the flame's remaining vessels changed formation. Instead of attacking, they began projecting light massive fractals of geometry, spreading across space like a web. Rami gasped. "They're opening another gate," Reyna barked. "Target the projection. Fire everything." Missiles and energy bolts tore into the forming structure, but it didn't stop. The gate opened from the void beyond. Something vast began to emerge. Not a ship. Not a fleet, a face, made of fire and shadow, larger than mountains, ancient as time. It did not belong in any physical universe. It was the flame itself. And then, everything stopped. Every weapon, every ship, every sound. The flame spoke. Again, but this time, only Keller could hear it. "You carry the memory of our error. You carry the echo of the opposing song. Sing it, or be unmade." Keller fell to his knees, gasping. Lang grabbed him. What did it say? His eyes filled with light, dozens of voices fighting inside him. "It's afraid," he whispered. Lang blinked. "Of what?" Keller stood slowly, his voice shaking. "Of us, of the version of humanity we haven't become yet." Aboard Reyna's hand, the gate continued expanding. Reyna's voice cut through the silence. "Is the Omega weapon ready?" Vale nodded. "Yes, but we don't know what it'll do." Reyna didn't blink. "We're out of time." She turned toward Earth, where billions waited in fear. "This is our meaning," she said softly. "Survival, resistance. And if we die, then we make sure we're remembered loud enough to haunt the stars." The order was given. The weapon fired. The universe screamed, and everything went white. Silence. After the Omega weapon fired, everything went silent. It's not just in the cumps in the universe. For a full 8 seconds, there was nothing. No ship movement, no data, no sound. Then came the light. It spread out from the detonation point, like the birth of a new star. Not an explosion of destruction, but of signal. Millions of encoded pulses, layered in fractals, rippled through the void. This wasn't just energy, it was language. And it wasn't meant to kill the flame. It was meant to remind them. Admiral Reyna Cross stood rigid on the command deck of the Reyna's hand, her skin tingled with static, her ears ringing. Her voice was quiet. "What was that?" Commander Vale stared at the feed. It's a memory wave. A full-scale pulse of all human history, compressed, encrypted, and launched. Like a spear? The science officer Rami added, almost whispering, "It's our story, our wars, our pain, our music, our rebellions, our defiance." Reyna looked out at the gate still hanging open, the monstrous shape of the flame watching. It had not retreated, but it had stopped moving, and that meant something. On Earth, children who'd been drawing spirals now stopped. Their hands went still. Their eyes returned to normal, in orbit above Neptune. An automated mining station that had gone dark suddenly came online and began transmitting coordinates to hidden structures, buried under Europa's surface. On Mars, A, as previously frozen by the flame's presence, began speaking again in strange, melodic tones that scientists would later identify as matching Keller's brainwave patterns. Across every human system, something was awakening. And in the medical chamber of the Harmonia, Ambassador Keller opened his eyes. They glowed brighter than before. But not inhuman. They glowed like fire in a furnace controlled. Dr. Lang rushed to his side. "Are you still with me?" Keller stood slowly. "I never left." He touched the wall. A ripple of blue light passed through it. Lang stepped back. "What are you doing?" He looked at her. "I'm connecting the rest of us. Those who are still asleep." Lang frowned. "What does that mean?" Keller's voice softened. "There were others, other humans from other timelines. Versions of us who faced the flame before. They lost, but they encoded everything they learned into light, into DNA, into dreams." He turned his eyes toward the stars. They hid that memory, beside us, waiting. Zetovira 9 glowed like a beacon now. Towers across the planet activated, each one projecting ancient data into space. A map, a guide, a weapon. Wasn't a bomb, it was truth. The kind that rewrites the rules. On board the monolith tower, Captain Voss watched in awe as the ground beneath his feet began to rise, lifting the spire higher into the sky. The pulse from the tower merged with the human Omega signal and pushed toward the Flame's fleet, and for the first time, the black ships hesitated. The Flame spoke again, not with words but visions, all across the fleet. Crew members fell into sudden translucing memories that weren't theirs. Battles fought in alien skies, a human voice singing in a dead language, a final stand on a world with 3 suns. Ambassador Keller spoke as if narrating something. He could feel in his bones. They're remembering. Reyna, watching the flame freeze in space, asked, "Remembering what?" "That they were us once," Keller said quietly. "Long ago. Before they gave everything up in pursuit of order. Before they decided free will was the flaw." Lang's voice broke. "You mean the flame is a human?" "Not anymore," Keller said. "But they started as something like us. They made themselves gods to survive. They forgot what it meant to be. Then came the moment no one expected. One of the Flame's ships broke formation. It turned not toward Earth, but toward the gate. Then it left, disappeared into the fold from which it came. A second followed, then a third. Within minutes, nearly a third of the Flame's fleet had abandoned the invasion path. Some still hovered confused, calculating. Others pulsed with unstable energy. As if warring with their own programming, Keller spoke again. "They're not one mind. They were always many connected, but not equal. Some of them want to stop, but not all. One massive ship remained the largest of them all. The one, shaped like a blade fused with a cathedral, it moved forward slowly, deliberate. It was the core intelligence, the Flame's heart, and it had decided Earth would burn. It charged its weapon, a sphere of black plasma so dense it bent the light around it. No shield could stop it, no weapon could pierce it. It would land in Earth's atmosphere in less than 1 minute, and then the planet would cease. But Admiral Reyna didn't flinch. "Send the final signal," she ordered. Vale stared. "We don't have another weapon." "We don't need a weapon," she said softly. "We need a mirror across the entire network." A final pulse fired. Not from ships, but from people. billions of human minds connected through Keller's resonance, through the towers on Zeta Viron 9.
Always.
Through dreams and memories responded. The flame expected war. Instead, it got understanding. From the depths of humanity's past came a chorus of voices scientists. Poets, children, rebels, dreamers all, echoing the same defiant message. We are not perfect, but we are alive. We are not united, but we choose. Our future, you do not get to erase us. The great flame vessel paused. The black plasma at its core began to flicker, dash uncertain, and then impossibly. It folded in on itself. One final whisper echoed across all frequencies, then survive and prove it. And with that, the flame left. Not destroyed, not defeated, but changed. The war ended, not with fire, but with a choice. Humanity had stared into the abyss, and the abyss had blinked. Keller sat alone aboard the Harmonia. Eyes closed, his body finally still. Lang sat beside him. Are they gone? He shook his head. No, they'll be back one day. Maybe not in our time. Maybe not in this form.
Oh.
But they'll test us again. Lang looked at the stars. So what do we do until then? Keller smiled. We build, we learn. And next time, we don't just survive. Epilogue: years later, deep beneath the ruins of an ancient Elari city, a group of children listened to a teacher reading from an old archive. ... And when the sky turned black, the stars did not vanish. They waited. Because humanity, flawed and loud and stubborn, fought back not with hate, but with memory. Child raised their hand. What happened to the flame? The teacher smiled. They became a story we tell, to remember who we are, and who we must never become.